Let the call to order the Select Board meeting of July 17, 2023. And please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing while we honor our veterans, both past and present. Thank you very much. I'm going to make it official. We probably will have one member who is on Zoom, although I don't see him yet. And if we do, then all votes will be on a roll call basis, according to Mass General Law. Okay. We have signed the warrant, and we're ready to move on. First order of business is a Waterways Commission letter of interest. Eli Powell.
This is going to be continued to a future meeting.
Right. Okay. So that was going well so far. Next. Conservation Commission letter of interest, Kyle Ross.
Yes, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle. Want to
Hi, guys.
introduce
How are
yourself
you?
and tell us about yourself, Kyle?
Absolutely. My name's Kyle Ross. I've lived in Dartmouth for around 13 years now. Married with 3 kids. I previously served on the commission from 2013 to about 2020, mid-COVID, and I work in the law enforcement field. Things were a little hectic, new kid in the house, so I had resigned. Back in February, I was lucky enough to be asked to be on the superintendent search committee. Kind of got the bug back in me to re-engage. So I reached out to Mike, Chairman Keogh, and he said, if anything pops up, I'll let you know. And a vacancy came along, and here I am tonight.
Oh, great. I thought you looked familiar.
A little bit. In and out of here a few times.
Questions or comments?
Motion to appoint.
Second.
Okay, I just, Kyle, everybody sometimes wants to volunteer to help, but the ones that don't show up and just think that's okay, I respect you for knowing that it wasn't going to work, but even more respective more that you came back because you're ready to do it and time frame's better. So it's a real sign of integrity in my view. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. As of now, I see Mr. Gracie, our 5th member, is not on, so we're going to vote in total. Okay, we're ready to vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I hear none. Unanimous. Thank you very much for your service, Kyle.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Okay.
Good to see you again.
You too, guys. Take care.
Okay. International Overdose Awareness Month observance.
Dolores Joseph, our youth advocate, is here.
Okay.
It's a day.
Here we go.
It's not a month.
Good afternoon. For those who don't know me, my name is Dolores Joseph. I am the youth advocate for the town of Dartmouth, and I'm here today to propose International Overdose Awareness Day event to be held here in Dartmouth. So International Overdose Awareness Day is an event that's held on August 31st every year all over the world. New Bedford has been doing this event for several years, also Taunton and some other surrounding communities. A community member came to me about a couple of weeks ago, Tuesday DeRoches, and she wanted to have an event here in Dartmouth. She's been participating in the one in New Bedford, helping them put it together, but she is a Dartmouth resident and would like to have something here in Dartmouth as an annual event. Tuesday also is the mother of 2 sons who were lost to overdose, one this year and one in 2017. So she is extremely familiar with this and would love to get the word out and to start some type of movement and conversation here in Dartmouth. So what we are proposing is that Dartmouth will host the International Overdose Awareness Day, not on August 31st, but on August 30th, to not compete with some of the surrounding towns. And for this event, because it's coming up really soon, to start off maybe something small and hopefully build a momentum and do something bigger each and every year. So we're proposing that we have the event at the Memorial Field. Mrs. Brooks has already reached out to try to secure the location, and that's been taken care of. DCTV has also been contacted, and they will be able to be at the event also. What we propose is to do a walk around the track. It would be from 6 to 8 p.m. Do a walk around the track. Have luminary bags placed in the stands with the names of individuals who have been lost to overdose, and also have community members in the addiction and recovery community come out and have resource tables so that we can educate the community and provide resources to the community. Also, we would like to do something called the Purple Locks, excuse me, if that's possible. What the locks represent are the names of individuals that are lost. Possibly have a spot on the fence if we're able to, maybe for a period of 30 months, because later on in the year, is Opioid Awareness Month is coming up soon too, a few months after that. So to have a visual, so if anyone walks by, passes by, they're like, hey, what's that? So to bring about awareness, because it's happening in all of our communities. I think sometimes people feel like if you're in a smaller community, things like this don't happen. There's not an opioid epidemic in Dartmouth. There is. There's homelessness in Dartmouth. There is, just like anywhere else. And why not try to shine some light on this issue here and have an event here? We recently were approached, I actually was approached by Carl Alves from PACA. He sits on the committee for New Bedford. I'm not sure how they got the word out, but they knew that we were here in Dartmouth. We're trying to do an event, and Greater New Bedford would like to partner with Dartmouth to do the event together, but host the event here in Dartmouth. So that's what we would like to do. We would love to get community speakers. We would love to reach out either to the governor or the lieutenant governor to see if they would come, or someone in the political arena would come and be one of our guest speakers. Tuesday definitely would be a guest speaker, maybe someone from the faith-based community, and possibly a survivor. So that's what we're proposing. Also, the last thing, the flag raising. So the purple flag represents overdose awareness, and we would love to raise the flag at the field on that day for that event. So I think those are the things that I want to propose. So we would like to propose to have that this year, and also have it as an annual event moving forward. Hopefully we will be able to collaborate with New Bedford and host the event here. That's our big thing. If they want to collaborate with us, they need to come here and do it with us here. So that's my proposal.
Can I ask you a question? I'm sorry.
You can ask me many questions.
The purple locks, you want them to be up for how long again?
Maybe possibly 30 days. If not, that could be negotiable, but we want it to be a visual
I
for
think
a
you
period
said
of time.
30 months.
Oh, no, not 30 months. Did I say 30 months?
Maybe
Who
I
knows what I'm going to
misunderstood
be
you.
doing in 30 months? No,
That's what I want to clear. I just wanted to clarify that.
not 30 months.
Right.
30 days.
Yes.
30 days. And we would also love to use, to get the word out, because we're working with Tuesday now to get, so she has some funds that we're able to get the event out through printed media, PSAs. Hopefully, we would be able to use some of the signage so that people are aware that this is going to take place, and hopefully we will get people to come out.
Great.
No problem.
Ms. Brooks?
Thank you. Yes. I am currently on the opioid task force, which we're going to talk about next, a charge in our change of name. And this certainly dovetails with the work that we want to get out with that committee, just letting people know in Dartmouth they are not alone, and we have resources. So we're looking at that night to also have resources from, the area community that has, sober living, that has information on drug use.
Seven Hills.
Seven Hills. We have a long list of folks to partner with, and by having it on the 30th, we will not be competing with some of the other events
idea.
happening in other communities on the 31st.
Because they're also using the same resources. So
Right.
we're trying to be smart about it and, kind of get a jump on it so that we're able to have those resource partners here too. And just so that people know that overdose deaths, especially in 2022, there were over 2,300 confirmed or estimated opioid-related overdoses in Massachusetts alone. And with the rise of fentanyl and xylazine, it is getting really scary out there. So the more information that we can provide for people and resources, I think the better. And also just so people don't feel like they're alone too, that it does happen. And you shouldn't feel ashamed or feel isolated, and know that there are supports out there.
I also spoke with Tuesday, a couple of days back, and it turns out that August 30th is also the birthday of one of her sons.
Her youngest son, the one that just passed away
Significance of
this
that
year
date
in March.
is so meaningful. And
Exactly.
she is willing to invest herself in every way to try to, her whole goal is to try to help somebody else and share in her unfortunate, tragic events, but she's ready to go out and try to make it better for somebody else.
Exactly. And she's even willing to, if it's approved for us to raise the flag that day, that she will purchase the flag for us to raise. So that would be an expense that we won't have to
we should
occur.
We should buy the flag. I think we should buy the flag. She shouldn't have to buy
Okay.
it, really.
It's on camera. Yes, that's fine.
Thanks for taking on, Mr. Mickelson,
And-
thanks for taking on that responsibility.
Thank you.
Be
Yes.
glad to. I'll give you my $20 right now.
2 flags.
Yep.
2 flags.
Flags.
One for the stadium, one for the front. Because there's a better visibility from our flagpoles than there is the stadium.
Great,
So it should be 2.
okay.
Got it, Sean?
Okay, Sean?
I will come back with cost.
There
Thank
you
you.
And we're going to talk about the committee after this, so.
I'll
this will
be here too. I can
This
talk.
section's about the event itself. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that was
Glad you
it.
scooped them. I'm glad you scooped them a day early.
Well, look, yes, it's a scoop, but I'm hoping that we have a meeting tomorrow. So I'm hoping that once they have a conversation and it's like, hey, you know, we want to partner, but you need to come here. We're not going there. You need to come
Great
here.
idea.
Do we need to approve the
I
event?
try.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Do we need to approve it?
Yes.
I make a motion that we go ahead with the plans as proposed.
Is there anything else we need to add to that motion of, or just, because I think it's going to change a bit in the fall.
We all, the select board
The event.
100% supports this. There's no question about
The
it.
event itself.
Yes,
event itself.
yeah, yep.
How the event changes and,
Whichever way it works
Yeah.
out.
Because obviously,
We're there for you.
time is important here, because we're,
Yep.
Definitely, and hopefully next year, because we'll have more time, if it gets approved this year, to do better planning and to get more awareness out there and to get the ball rolling and to do more advertisement, so
It'll be nice to start small.
it will. And I think I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I'm very happy that we have the opportunity to do something here in Dartmouth.
That's wonderful.
so we have a motion and a second on the floor.
Frank is on. but
Frank is here.
his camera's not on.
Okay. Mr. Gracie,
Yes.
welcome. Have you heard enough of this discussion to be able to vote on it? You want to pass until the next event on the agenda?
I think I've heard enough.
Okay, great. Okay, any questions or comments on it? We've had a motion and a second ready to vote. Anything you want to add at this point?
No?
Okay, so we're going to go to a roll call vote. Ready to vote? Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Gracie?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, 5-0.
Well,
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go far. Okay. Next on the agenda is the Dartmouth Advocates for Addiction Recovery and Treatment, DAART Committee Charge. So we'll go to Mrs.
Brooks has
Brooks,
been
okay?
spearheading this effort, so.
All right, well, this committee is charged with overseeing and coordinating the efforts to address the needs of the Dartmouth community in relation to the use of opioid settlement funding as stipulated in the State Subdivision Agreement Abatement Strategies List. Opioid settlement funding is to be distributed through the Commonwealth of Massachusetts through the year 2038. The efforts of the DART Task Force will exceed the term of this funding source and will work to secure sources of perpetual funding. The committee is a conduit to find resources and services for residents in need and is not a provider of direct constituent services. We have been meeting as a work group, and we felt it was important to formally create a group with a committee charge. Unlike other committees, this is an internal committee, so the voting members are members of boards and committees in the town, and I'll go over that. And then we want to open up our meetings by taking this on to have a public focus so that anyone with any interest in this topic can come to a meeting. And we will also be inviting to our meetings local agencies and partners listed, you can see on the chart, and it's not an exclusive list, but we want them to be there as well as we navigate roads to recovery for our citizens in need.
Comments or questions? Dolores, anything you want to comment on at this point?
Just want to piggyback off what Heidi
ahead.
said, that we have been working really hard with community partners. So we've got a lot of buy-in with the different community partners who are on board and really want to work with Dartmouth to make sure that we are providing, not us personally, but we have the links to provide the services to individuals in the community. So I know there's a lot of things that we would like to do, like as the work group, and once the committee charge moves forward, whoever's a part of that, there's some guidelines definitely that we have to stick by. But I think we've come up with some ideas to submit to the committee, and hopefully they can get the ball rolling, hopefully in the fall. But I don't think I have anything else to add.
I think the significance of this also is the usual committee gets started and they have to go find money and ask the town, but this is money that is being given to the town. At the first year out is $40,000 as part of the opioid settlement, which was going to end up to be close to $1 billion across
Yes.
the country.
Yeah,
we
and it
wanna-
definitely can
as a
grow because
town,
there's more people.
Mrs. Brooks and Dolores and the committee has been incredibly ahead of it because this is all brand new, and we want to try to get this thing off the ground as quickly and as well as we can because there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of potential, a lot of people can be helped.
Exactly.
And, the passion in that room with police and fire and nurses and the Board of Health, it's amazing the people
Yep.
that are there.
UMass, Dartmouth,
Ms. Brooks and
exactly.
Dolores have done a great job organizing and staying ahead.
We have some great ideas, and some is just, it'll be great to have the funding, because one of the things we will be purchasing is Narcan, which is an opioid removes the opioids from an individual's system and can give them an opportunity to find recovery and treatment. And this funding will allow us to be able to distribute that widely throughout the town. Although we are what some might call a small town, the fact that we have such a diverse retail corridor, a university, sheriff's department, the number of private and public schools that we have, we're actually a large, vibrant community that has a lot of potential areas where people may be in need, and we want to make sure that
Large city bordering us as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly, and I think.
not
and I did-
immune.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. And I did pull some numbers for that because I know sometimes it's hard for people to believe that it happens right here in your backyard. But this is from the mass.gov site for the EMS Regional Opioid Dashboard. And in the first quarter of this year, EMS has responded to 17 opioid-related incidents here in Dartmouth. And that's just in the first quarter of the year. Last year in 2022, 101 responses, 2021, 121. Those are the ones that we know about. There's so many more that we don't. So this is something that we really need to get ahead of, and not just being able to provide the Narcan, but to provide people with training. It's not hard, but if you don't know what you don't know. So for me, education is important and the key to all of this.
Anybody have any comments or
Thank you very
questions? We need to vote on this?
Yes.
Sean? Okay.
Make a motion that we approve the charge of the Dartmouth Advocates for the additional recovery and treatment.
Second.
Any comments or questions before we vote? Let's vote. Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Gracie?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, unanimous 5-0. Thanks for all your work.
Thank you. No problem.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Brooks.
Welcome.
Okay, next up is the Dartmouth Tree Committee update. Please introduce yourself, Ann.
Hi, Ann Parson, Chair of the Dartmouth Tree Committee, and thanks for having me here. I give you a quick update, and that is we're springing forward. It's going to take many years to really set this up properly, but I think the most exciting thing that's happened so far is having Arbor Day celebration at DeMello School. Someone on our committee made that connection, and the end of April, over 400 kids celebrated Arbor Day at DeMello, and Eversource helped us with this. They planted 3 beautiful trees there. So the kids got out for that tree planting. They want to do this every year, and we hope to spread the same thing throughout the school system. So that was exciting. I'm here especially, though, to talk about the tree planting program, which the name of it is Trees Are Cool. Mm-hmm. So our obvious thing we want to do is start planting trees. The sooner the better. We applied for a grant from the Buzzards Bay Coalition. They offered grants for sustainability activities, and we received $2,000 for this Trees Are Cool program project. And I think I handed out something to you. It's about the project itself. Is the idea of starting, our idea is to start in bare places or places that need tree help. And we identified middle school and Dartmouth Town Hall as 2 places really suffering. Their trees out front, I went around before I came in, really need some help. So middle school and the Dartmouth School Committee already have signed off on this, as long as we can raise the funds. So to back up, we've raised $2,000 from the grant. I just got last week. We've started our own fundraising, launched a whole fundraising effort. So far, we've raised another $1,000 there. We still have another $12,000 to raise, which I believe we can do. Our objective is to start at the middle school in the fall, and with Bourne Knowles' help, to plant 5 or 6 trees there. It will depend on how much money we've raised by the fall. But I hope we'll have raised at least $5,000 or $6,000. That's what it will take. And then my hope further along is to keep raising money so that the following spring, once we've sorted things out with you, if you want trees out front, we would like to plant trees out there too, probably 4 or 5. Bourne Knowles has gone over the site, and we went over the site next door too with the superintendent next door. But out front, we were thinking of 2 big trees and 2 small trees. So that's where we're at. I needed some guidance about, I'm bringing the money in. The checks are being made out to Town of Dartmouth for Dartmouth Tree Committee. And once they come in, I give them to Donna. And do I need a sign-off from you to spend those funds?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, all right. So let me just say this, okay? Back in 1980,
Oh, boy.
yep,
Way back.
back in 1980, when I was first elected on the park board at the age of 22, the park board had a program where they had a tree planting program. And it happened for 3 years. I'm not sure how long it continued. I think it was short-lived after that, but it also happened prior, where the park board would take in requests from people living in town, where they could get a tree planted in their front yard. If they lived on a corner lot, they would have the capability of planting 2 trees. The trees would come from, and this is going to date everybody, Vanderpool Nurseries out of Fairhaven, and he gave the town a break on the cost of the trees. And the town had a budget for this program through the park board. Park board staff would go in and plant the trees, guy wire the trees up, and then the homeowner would take responsibility thereafter. And it was on a first come, first served basis. Those who've never had participated in the program were the first choice. And if somebody else had participated in the program previous years, they were put to the back of the list, and if there were trees available, then whoever requested. So number one, I can't see why the town can't have a budget for the tree committee on a yearly basis. If we can't find $10,000 to do trees every year, then I would question the capability of the financial people in this town if we can't find 10 grand. Whether we find it in our budget in the beginning of the year, or we use it out of free cash every October. So let's get them the money to do what they need to do.
That would be fantastic, obviously.
And still take the donations, the private donations, because, hey, private money is always welcome, especially for something like this.
I was going to ask if the town would contribute something. What you're describing is an adopt a tree program. New Bedford has
It's
a very
similar, it can't be adopt a tree, but it's basically going back to the same, that the way the park board did it back in, the early 80s, the late 70s. So, I mean, you can even, if Eddie Pimentel, who used to be on the park board, is very familiar with the program. I'm not sure when the program stopped, but I do know that the 3 years that I was a commissioner, I went around each 3 years with Rosario Supernaut and planted the trees.
That's
So,
very cool.
Plus the fact that I was also part of a program in North Kingstown, Rhode Island, where a gentleman named Greg Carter used to get Quaison cherry trees, and anybody in town could order them for $25 a pop. My property in North Kingstown, we have over 75 cherry trees on our property, and we donated over 50 throughout, the schools in North Kingstown. So
I think that's great. What's going on in New Bedford shows us that individuals are willing to pay for trees. So they've got it set up, and we might do what you're suggesting, but also have individuals contribute a little bit. So individuals over there contribute $200.
Skin in the game.
Huh?
Little skin in the game.
Yeah, but the cool thing is that the town brings the trees over, plants them, and that's a lot of work. Just setting them up and bracing them and all of that, and then leaves it up to the owner to take care of the tree, which is half the battle. So if we were getting 10,000, say, a year, we could also bring in money from individuals to set up an adopt a tree program.
And I would think, some of the local nurseries would get a lot of PR out of this, for, giving, the committee a break on the trees instead of charging retail, maybe less than wholesale,
Yeah.
Plus the fact that they can write it off on taxes as a
We have two
donation.
wholesalers in
Well,
town.
there's a bunch. There's Sylvan Nurseries.
Right.
The guy used to wear, he lives in town.
The same project that Mr. McDonald is talking about in 1967 and 1968 was done for homeowners in Dartmouth. And the Crapo Field, when you pass that corner, if you look up and there's a variety of different trees,
Yeah.
that's where the trees were housed until the families came and picked up their 2 trees for their yard.
That's cool.
So the ones that are there that look like, random, they were the trees that had not been planted during that project.
Amazing.
And my in-laws received 2 of those trees.
Uh-huh.
So in essence,
How are they doing?
Yeah.
One just came down in that storm in the fall, but other than that, they've been great for, 50 years.
They're
so in
en-
essence, Mr. McGinnis, let's find this tree committee 10 grand.
I have a question, comment on that. First question, the trees you talked about, you identified on public property.
Yes.
In your view, or the committee's view, are there a lot of potential in other public properties, or you think we should be addressing and thinking about the residents first?
Well, no, both.
Yeah.
There's plenty of space in front of, there's also setback trees, which that's a whole nother description. So you have the public, the private way trees in front of a house, but there's also more and more urge to set trees back onto private property, and that's a different distance. But that's,
Excuse me, that's a big problem with the DPW and sidewalks.
Right.
So DPW wants to adopt the idea of not planting on public property, moving them back a bit.
Setback.
Making the sidewalks a little shorter, but because of the issues we have with maple trees and various types of trees like
Would we want to
that.
consider, rather than a flat number, considering a matching program and unlimited?
No, I think if we get a flat number coming from the town, it shows that the town is interested in doing this program, and we're more than welcome to have, private donations, let them match the town. Believe me, if we give them $10,000 a year, and they raise $10,000, that's $20,000 a year to trees. That's a lot of trees.
I'd like to, what you're talking about, I'd like to fashion this into an adopt-a-tree program.
Sure.
Because, and that would really get us started.
Okay.
That
The
would
only
be
thing
so
that really
exciting.
you need to do is you need to make sure the type of tree. Okay, because if it's
no
close
no
to the
tropicals.
edge, you don't want a Norway maple, because the root system on the Norway maples suck.
Norway
they've
maples are
destroyed-
banned.
They've
Right.
destroyed, well,
Norway-
most of the maples.
No, Norway maples are now banned in Massachusetts.
Okay, well, there you
And
go.
they were
Which I
the,
don't understand, because to be honest with you, so are red oaks.
no, they're water hogs.
Yeah.
Don't, pick those buggers up because they're water hogs.
Well, I thank you and the
Well-
Dartmouth Tree Committee for stepping up and continuing. I also appreciate, I'm a Facebook friend of the tree, and I love how you spotlight a tree in the community that perhaps I've driven by and perhaps I have not, but it gives me new eyes to look for these trees in the community.
We
So I
also
thank you
have
for
the
that.
distinctive tree program, which we just launched, where people are nominating their favorite trees around town, and we're going to want to be mapping those. We're going in so many different directions, but things are starting.
I would like to say that from the get-go, that when you came into the interest of this, your enthusiasm has been incredible, and you've been very patient because, like most things in town government, it takes a little while for the wheels to spin to get things going, and now I think we're getting some real traction.
But
And
describe the
your
reason.
enthusiasm is so much appreciated in the work you do and what you're
listen,
trying to do, what
everybody
Heidi just mentioned.
should love trees, and I can tell all of you do. Give me some guidance before I leave.
Yes.
How do I make sure of these expenditures? And is it okay just to write checks? No. Well, you tell me.
So you
Should have some kind
you
of
have
a
to present
program
a
and bring
plan
it
in
before us.
writing of what
I
you would like
did.
to do,
I
Right.
did.
and with
You-
quotes and proposals if you want to purchase
I
something.
put that down. It's all down.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
all
well,
the,
can you submit it to me again? I don't think
Okay.
I have it. So, and if you submit it to me, we can review it, and then we can get the board to approve the funding, and then we can.
This is on a project-by-project basis?
well,
Well,
it's
it's however you want to
important.
submit it.
Ongoing.
And what the plan is. So if
It's-
you want
it's
to plant
yeah.
trees, where you want to plant the trees, you need to have a plan of how you want to, where they're going to be exactly. So, we talked about this, but in front of Town Hall. I know you want to plant a few trees, but you need to have something in writing that shows these are where the trees we want to plant. This is exactly where we want to plant them. This is how we will plant them. This is what it will cost.
I
Why
got
do we
it,
need
but
to go through all that, Ms. McGinnis? Could you explain that way?
State procurement law and state finance law.
I mean, people in town need to know what's going on, how the money's being
It's-
spent.
it's
Transparent
important.
about how we're spending
Yeah,
the
if we're
funds.
going to give them the
it's
money.
just
important
Dan's
though,
idea.
it's important that I get this down soon because I have
Mm-hmm.
to make these plans for this fall. So we're going to start at the middle school. Do you need that for middle school? Because the school committee has signed off on
School
this.
committee can sign off on projects at the middle school.
Good, so
School
you
property.
just need out front.
Who will be doing the installation of the trees?
Bourne Knowles,
Oh, all right.
yeah.
Well, he is well aware of our tree warden, which is Tim Barber, and DPW. He's planted, G. Bourne Knowles has planted trees everywhere in Dartmouth. So he certainly knows that, that he needs
Yes.
to make sure there's not a pipe or a water pipe or electrical or gas
Just
or
wanted to make
sewer.
sure that I could go ahead with middle school and not have to check in with you.
School department.
Okay, that's
What you want to
different.
do on their property, that's there.
Because then our plan also is next spring to plant here. And Sean, you had mentioned that there might be some conflicts because you're thinking of doing something over out front.
We are in design plans to redo the parking lot here at Town Hall to make some modifications, but also there's a number of utilities that come in through the street across that front lawn, so we would have to coordinate that.
Okay.
And the plan,
Because if the town hall doesn't work, as far as next year, I have another project that you can work on. You can work on Fons Corner Road. You
Oh,
can get
God,
rid of
we'd
all
love
those
it.
crappy trees and plant some nice new ones back there. No problem.
Okay, you're on.
There's an ugly hill at Potter School in the front that would love
That
some
too.
trees.
I
So-
think that.
Plenty of areas.
The
to put trees.
diagram we're looking for is not, has to be done by an architect and pay thousands. We just need something that's understandable.
Good.
And I also would say the more you can do, just to make sure that everybody knows what you're doing, it'll avoid an awful lot of time and red tape and aggravation on your part and frustration, because we just need to know that's the way it works. Does that sound all right?
So we have 5 people on our committee.
Yep.
Winslow Dresser moved out of state, so we need to replace him.
All right, we'll get it advertised.
How do I advertise that? Would any of you?
We'll advertise it on our website, and you can beat the bushes for whoever wants to join.
Okay.
And if you come up with a recommendation, tell them to send us a resume, and we'll take a
It's
look
hard
at it.
finding someone to make that commitment, as you know, but thank
Nature
you.
of town
Well,
government.
maybe if they hear that of the good work that's happening and that there's actually action happening, they'll want to be a
Somebody will
part of
jump
it.
on board.
And now that they know we're getting 10,000 a year,
Maybe.
did I hear that
Yep.
right?
Maybe, it'll have to go before town
The
meeting.
hearing's good.
Are you
Hearings, yeah.
going to vote on that right now?
You have to- Trust me, we'll have something come across our desk within the month telling us how they're gonna do it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
You
it.
all set for now?
No pressure, guys.
No pressure.
David,
Thank you.
David,
Yes.
you want to take the out of order and let Eversource go up next?
Yeah, because they're gonna start work shortly.
Okay.
I know, right?
So in fact, they're starting
We're gonna make
tonight.
a quick change, fellow. We're right with you. Are we done, Tree?
Yep.
And I can't thank you enough for the patience you've had, the enthusiasm, and ever confused, just let us know. We'll try to work it out together, okay? Thank you very much. Okay. Eversource overnight gas work plan review. Keep it under an hour, will you, fellas?
Good evening. Hope you guys are having a good summer so far. I'm Anthony Blue, Community Relations from Eversource. We just want to start some overnight work on Slocum and Allen. We already have the permits in hand, but I think this will alleviate some traffic. And I have with me Supervisor Mitch Brady. He's overseeing the job. He can just go over a little tiny bit of the scope real quick, and we're just looking for your approval to do it.
Good.
So basically, this is right down the street.
Right in the microphone.
Allen and Slocum. So last year we ran on Allen on the west side of Slocum, all the way up to that intersection. And just this summer on the east side on Allen, we have dead pipe we just laid. We just need to make that connection and tie into the existing Slocum main. And that's
Doing
pretty much
that
it.
at night, correct?
At night. It's busy enough where we have to do it at
Yeah,
night, so.
right.
It'll probably be, we have permits, but it'll probably be 2 weeks max. Probably a week to put the pipe in and then just tying everything in for a couple days.
So it's like, how many nights is that?
2 weeks, 10
Well,
days.
they're working the weekends. yeah.
10 days.
Not
days?
the weekends. I would think we would start on a Sunday night, since night work, we start Sunday to Thursday.
Okay.
Saturday
Great.
nights, so.
You're going to, there will be notification of the homeowners in the area to let them know that you're going to be working there at night?
Yep, we can do
Okay.
that.
Bless you. Yeah, that's tantamount, because the last thing we want to hear is, surprise, all of a sudden, I hear jackhammering at 10 o'clock at night outside my door. Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
I know.
Make sure you get that out.
We're aware.
Also, let me ask you a question. I know this is Slocum and Allen Street, but I've noticed you have piping over on State Road and signage on State Road saying something starting today. Now, I'm assuming you're upgrading the gas lines on State Road?
Yep.
From where to where?
Champion Terrace to Slocum, all the way up the hill.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
At night.
So.
So you're
it's-
you're westbound, you're eastbound lanes?
Yes.
That
And-
side?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's actually partial nights. I think it's going to be nights in front of the businesses once I think it's Ryder Street, Ryder
Yep.
Road. Then it's going to turn days because of the residents. So there's no complaints.
Okay.
about it.
Eastbound.
All right.
And that was a request by MassDOT to ask us to do it at night. Mm-hmm. That was.
No, I don't.
Makes
I
perfect
don't have a
sense.
problem with it at night. I mean, it makes sense, especially on Route 6.
Right.
And Allen Street and Slocum actually does make sense at night, you know. I mean, there aren't that many roads in town that go east, you know, that go north-south. There's only really 4, you know, and one major one that goes east-west, so. Well, not the highway, so.
We do need to vote on the, on this matter.
Make a motion that we approve the night work at Slocum and Allen Street
Work plan review, second.
as presented by
As presented.
Eversource.
Any questions or comments? Time to vote. Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Gracie?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, unanimous. Thank you very much, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Thank you.
That kid did a pretty good job. Okay, next would be Mass DOT, VHP update on Tucker Road. Thank you for your patience and waiting. The floor is yours.
Hi, Tom Courier, Project Manager with MassDOT. Nice to be here again, and thanks for having us down. I have a battery of experts behind me to help sort out our traffic design for you. And Mr. Clinton with VHB, Bob Clinton, I don't know if you remember him from our public hearing. He's our traffic engineer designing the project with Jamie Pisano, my counterpart with VHB. And with me tonight is Rich Bilski, project development engineer with District 5, and next to him is Alan Andrade, who's the deputy director under Mary Jo Perry, the district director, and David Soares, the District 5 traffic engineer. So we have a lot of smart people here with us tonight to help explain why our proposed design is actually the best of the various alternatives that were discussed at the public hearing.
We shall
And-
see
and
how
we have
smart-
some models too.
We shall see how smart that is.
You're going to run us through the mill, I know. But Bob, you've got your work cut out for you.
Okay, good evening. As Tom said, my name is Bob Clinton. I'm with VHB. We've been working on Fauns Corner Road and the whole series of phases of this plan for a long time. Just want to go over what we're proposing and what was previously proposed. This is a stretch from Fauns Corner Road over to Hathaway Road. Adding a signal at the Hathaway Road intersection, and making some modifications to the Tucker Road intersection, making it work more efficiently and providing more stacking between Fauns Corner Road and Tucker Road. What was previously proposed was the Tucker Road relocation project. Essentially, this created a barrier, no turning movements at the Tucker Road and Champion Terrace intersection. And what it did is it eliminated the signal at Tucker Road and moved it down to relocated Tucker Road and Hathaway Road. So in this scenario, there would only be 2 traffic signals. Existing Tucker Road and Champion Terrace would be right in, right out. This project was not advanced because of the cost. The town would have to come up with the cost for the right-of-way acquisitions, and that's where the current proposal came into play. It is basically the same as the Tucker Road relocation project without the relocation of Tucker Road. It keeps the existing signal here. It turns Champion Terrace into right in, right out. It increases the stacking on the eastbound approach to Tucker Road, because as you'll see in the models, and you guys, I don't have to tell you guys, but you experience this on a daily basis. The dual left turn from Fauns Corner Road onto Tucker Road backs up, sometimes blocking the intersection of Fauns Corner Mall Road and Route 6. So these signals today currently don't talk to each other. They're not coordinated. So sometimes you come around the corner here into dead red signal. So this is already stacked up, and you have no place to go. And you'll see in the models where we have long queues on Fons Corner Mall Road. We also have long queues on the eastbound approach. It extends back, both of these queues extend back to the previous signal and through the previous signal on many occasions. You'll also see in the model where this left turn bay sometimes spills over into the through lane, and it shuts the two lanes that proceed through down to one lane, so it kind of chokes that off. So adding a signal at this location is going to help that situation, and all three of these new signals will be talking to each other. They'll be coordinated. So you'll get better progression around the corner and through here, and also the eastbound all the way through. So let me get to the part you all came to see. I can just talk about numbers, but the picture's going to tell. What's this saying? A picture tells 1,000 words. Let me just blow this up.
Thank you.
This is the existing conditions. Well, actually what we did is we looked at, to be consistent, we looked at a future no-build condition, 10 years in the future, from when we did our counts and volumes out here. So we have a future condition, no build. So this is if we did nothing. And you can see that where the eastbound queue, the red, are basically the queues and the rolling queues that you see, and the queues on the southbound that back up here, northbound, that also backs up because, again, a lot of times you get the green signal and then you can't get around the corner because there's no place for you to go. So that is the heat map of this. I'm just going to show you some quick, they call them heat maps or speed maps. This is what we are proposing. You can see a lot of these queues are gone. You still have some short queues on these approaches, but again, under the previous, the no build condition, you wouldn't have these talking to each other. You wouldn't have these improvements. So now with the ability to coordinate these signals, you have a big improvement here. And you do see some short queues on this westbound approach. That's because there's going to be a signal added here. We didn't have a signal before, so you didn't have the queues here. So what happens is it kind of queues the vehicles on these approaches and clears up this existing congestion in the middle. And like I said, this proposed design adds 100 feet of storage here too. Not only are the signals coordinated, you have additional stacking for vehicles when they come around the corner or they're headed eastbound. So that is the and then now that is what's currently proposed. This was the Tucker Road relocation. You see the relocated Tucker Road here. Very similar, it gets rid of a lot of the queues under no build conditions. You see short queues here. The queues on Tucker Road, existing Tucker Road, are shifted over here. You see no queues in here because that signal's gone, and there's a median in here where you can't cross this. So you obviously have a lot of stacking in there. At our meeting, our public meeting that we had, the public safety officer was there and said, "Why don't you look at? It looks like the eastbound and westbound should be flipped. Currently, there are 3 lanes westbound here. One of the lanes drops into the mall, and there are only 2 lanes eastbound." He said, "Why don't you have 3 lanes going eastbound and 2 lanes westbound?" And that makes perfect sense if you just look at Fons Corner Road by itself, okay? It does queue up, I mean, clear up a lot of the queues on the southbound approach and the eastbound approach. However, what happens is you only have 2 lanes headed westbound now, if you were to flip-flop those lanes. And you end up with just a long queue along the golf course, and you can watch all the golfers and the southbound approach here too. You'll see that in the models that I'm going to show. Let me get. So here again, we start out with the no-build condition. You see I don't know if you can see this, but you see all the blue cars here, the southbound approach on Fons Corner Mall Road, the long queues on the eastbound approach. You'll see occasionally this left turn lane will spill back. There is some merit to the safety officer's comments. However, the 3 lanes, a lot of people don't want to get in that lane that dumps into the mall. So you do see underutilization of that lane. But so this is the no-build condition, and I can jump ahead a little bit and show you. This is where you see things spilling back. There's no place for them to go. They're trapped in the middle of the intersection. And it's just frustrating for people when you finally get a green light and there's no place for you to go. And when you have that driver frustration, you get people doing things they shouldn't do, like blocking the intersection. And I'm sure you guys experience that a lot.
More than you realize.
Right, I know. Okay, so let me jump to what we're currently proposing. And this is industry standard software that we use. We're not just making these things up. It's a standard program that's industry standard across the country. So what happens here is you see little short queues here, but you have a lot of storage all along the golf course. You're not going to back up into other intersections and things like that. And you do see shorter queues on Hathaway because there's a signal here now. You don't have people trying to fight their way out of that. But you see the queues are all cleared up here, and you have better stacking between Tucker Road and Fons Corner Mall Road.
Could you on this just review exactly where the lights are?
Okay, sure. Yep. No, that's a good question. Fons Corner Mall Road, there would be a signal. There's still a signal at Tucker Road, okay? But what happens is currently what happens when you come out of Champion Terrace, these intersections are offset the wrong direction. So you're coming head on to it. And I'm from the Midwest, so I call it like a do-si-do. You go around behind, some intersections you go around behind people, and people don't know where to go. So
Well, that was when we had horse and buggy, so.
right, that's right. So a lot of people, they cut early, and they go on the wrong side of the road and cut across here currently. So it cleans up that safety concern that currently exists out here.
I saw that happen today, and it was
Happens all the time.
frightening.
So you're saying there is not a light at Champion Terrace?
Champion Terrace is a right in,
Nor
right
Tucker.
out.
Okay.
Nor
and
Tucker.
There is
A light at
Tucker.
Hathaway, yeah. So
It's not at Tucker, though.
there is at Tucker.
At Tucker.
Yep, at Tucker. Yep, so you can make all the movements into Tucker. You can make the left turn into Tucker. You can make the left turn out of Tucker. Okay?
So there's a light that is stopped pre-Championship Terrace. If I'm coming down, I've stopped at Hathaway. I stop again where there currently is a light, and I can turn left down Tucker Road.
Tucker Road, correct. And I think that, oops, that stopped on me. So what the good thing here is that these signals are going to be coordinated. So you're not going to be driving down stop, stop, stop. So they're going to, a platoon of cars, once it turns green, will come through, and a certain number of them will be able to get through all three signals.
So can I clarify this? Is there a light at Tucker or not a light at Tucker?
There is a light at Tucker, however, there is not a light at Champion Terrace.
Okay,
Champion.
so, and Tucker will go east and west?
Correct. Yep.
In Champion, right only?
Right in, right out. So if you're coming out of Champion Terrace and you have to, and you want to go eastbound, you would make a right turn, you'd come down, make a U-turn here, and come down here.
The other thing on Tucker again, during school time, there's a backup every morning at 8 o'clock or 7:30 to 8 o'clock, and it must be a mile long.
Yeah, yep.
Every day.
Yep.
So if that Tucker Road light is not talking to the light at Fawn's Corner or the light at Hathaway, you're still going to have backups, and we're going to hear them chirping at us like they chirp every day.
Yep, yep, that's true. But what's going to happen that doesn't happen now, just like I talked about Fawn's Corner Road, that dual left, and not having a place to go because these things aren't talking to each other.
Right.
It's just a random, you come into a solid red. Same thing happens on Tucker. When you come out of here and you take this left turn movement, you may go into a dead red today, whereas the new signal equipment is going to be able to better manage the traffic between those signals, and it's not going to be a random occurrence. It's going to be, coordinated. Yeah.
You're going to have extended traffic on Hathaway at some point also, because the city of New Bedford will be at some point entering an agreement to build an industrial park, and that's going to. I know it's not today or tomorrow, but somewhere down the line that's going to happen. Yeah. Because the paperwork's done, they're ready to go. That will bring an awful lot of cars going and coming off of Hathaway Road.
Correct.
How many left turn lanes are there from Route 6 onto Hathaway Road? Is there 2 or 1?
To Hathaway.
6 onto
One.
Hathaway. Oh,
There's
right
one.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the
Left going up to
With a
Hathaway.
light, though, with a light.
Right,
with a light. Yeah,
right.
that's the big difference that you don't have today.
right.
Well, that's
And is there a light
just trying to.
at Hathaway? I'm trying to say, I see a light on Hathaway, I'm coming down the hill, and I'm gonna turn right to Hathaway Road. There's also a light on Route 6 that I will be able to turn left at Hathaway Road.
Right, there'd be an
But
arrow.
is there a light, so I'm coming out of the pizza place, Burger King, is there a light for me to enter back into?
It's a four-way
Route
intersection.
6,
Yeah.
okay.
So east-west and north-south. Yeah, out of the plaza.
So that's part of that driveway system for that strip mall.
Correct.
When you look at this, I know that we have a bus that goes into Champion Terrace, picks the kids up. Now it would have to take a right, go over, and then do a U-turn
Which they're not going to be able to do.
to go up back to elementary and middle, and I don't know that they,
Well,
I don't know that
their
the bus
route,
can do.
Their route may. I don't know exactly.
well, those schools are up here.
Oh no, I know.
So,
I know where
yeah.
their schools are, but I don't know what their route is picking up kids. Whether they pick up kids and they pick up kids further west here
Nope.
also. That's
No.
that's the last stop.
That ends the route to go to Quinn School
Yeah.
and the middle school.
Well, there are other ways they can go through. Through the mall, turn around. They can take a right. There are other ways they can turn around.
Absolutely.
There are other roadways.
Then the kids
Redistrict?
would have to pick up a bus somewhere else other than.
I mean,
That section, I don't see it, I don't see a way that they
My
can't.
comment is that all these, what do they call it, the octopus downtown New Bedford, when they say, this is like the octopus times 2. And here we are dealing with Champion Terrace, and they're gonna have to just do a different bus route. And I think that you really made a conscious effort with all the the skills you have and also the software available to you to try to do the best you can with a pretty impossible situation. My question is this: regardless of the cost, let's forget about the cost for a minute. I'd like to hear in plain English your interpretation of your plan versus including the Tucker Road diversion as well, and how much that would improve the situation. I see the numbers you had, but I'd like to hear it explained, because is it dramatic, or is it really not that much in your view that including Tucker Road will make that much of a difference?
Well,
Forget about the purchase of the proproperty.
No, everything.
Yeah,
Everything.
yep.
No cost. Just
Right.
the comparison of
yeah.
those two. You get what I'm saying?
yes.
Great, thank you.
And I didn't get to this. This is the relocated Tucker Road. This is the model that shows that. And what you can see is the existing Tucker Road. It's right in, right out. So there's no traffic. Nobody's going to come up this way unless you're going to like one of these businesses right in this area. Most people are going to come up. All the queues are relocated to across from Hathaway Road. And
If I'm going to the mall on Tucker Road, aren't I going to take the left?
take the left. There's a median all the way from Fons Corner Mall Road all the way to
It's right in, right out.
yeah.
That's
So
it.
so you can't take a left.
Tucker Road, right in, right out.
Yeah.
Oh, only a right turn on the Tucker
Right
Road?
in, yeah. So there's
Okay.
a median that extends. You can't cross all the way from Fons Corner Mall Road to Hathaway. And then, so then you have queuing all the way. You could queue up all this distance, but you don't see it happening. So these two, if you look at the heat maps that I showed, very similar, very similar.
Similar.
It does, what we're proposing doesn't preclude you from doing this in the future. You know, it's something that can be done quick.
Oh, you said that before.
No, but my whole point is that if it's really not that much of an improvement, why consider it now, and then maybe why even consider it in the future?
Well,
wanna
you may look at it, in the future. This is like a phased approach to this, where you have the money to do this now. You can get some immediate benefits out of this,
No.
unless you want to wait until you have
This
money.
is
to
like
do
a
the whole-
project, like you said, new build, like doing nothing, in my opinion, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Board. Jamie Pisano with VHB. If you went back to the heat maps that Bob was showing at the front, when you were looking at our proposed improvements versus the Tucker Road relocation piece of the puzzle, when you look in the area of Fons Corner Mall Road, State Road, and Old Westport Road, the heat map signature is almost similar in those pieces of the puzzle. And the improvements as you look along the Route 6 corridor are very similar. So I'm a highway guy, excuse me, a highway guy, not a traffic guy. So I was sort of shocked that it was so similar. The reason we went with Tucker Road first, there was a study done by Serped back in 2006, 2007 as a congestion management piece. And they had recommended that relocation. So that's why we started with that piece. Now that you've seen this, I'm impressed at how much the benefit that you get out of these improvements. So similar and consistent.
So are you saying to me that it might even be possible in 5 or 10 years that we might not even consider a Tucker Road because it still wouldn't be that good?
Well,
Is that possible?
I think the point that was brought up is who knows what the volumes are going to be in the future. You have all these other planned developments. There's not an immediate need for the relocation of Tucker Road, and you're going to get a lot of years of benefit out of just what's being proposed now. And sure, at some point when you look at the new traffic volumes, new traffic patterns, things like that, there may be a need for that in the future, but we don't see a need for that right now.
For my own clarification, there is not a dramatic improvement by doing Tucker Road now. And maybe down the road with the Hathaway Road and the construction and New Bedford expanding, that it may become mandatory. And that's when we're going to go to the city of New Bedford and say, you want that industrial park, you're going to help us with the Tucker Road extension.
Yeah.
And everything you do in this project will allow us to do Tucker Road without a lot of redos or changeovers?
That
You'll
is
keep that
correct.
in mind?
Your summary was excellent.
Okay.
And then the signal that we're putting in at State Road and Hathaway potential Tucker Road relocation is set up to minimize the improvements. You'll basically be able to go from State Road south, so you won't have any real impacts into the state piece of the
And
puzzle.
the design you're doing, the Tucker Road design will kind of fit right into that?
Yes,
without-
sir.
Okay, thank you. By the way, we have a proud citizen, resident Dartmouth, Chris Fay. Did he ever do some of this research for us?
Fay actually did the signal.
Okay, that's enough for
He
me.
did he went out there and did an inventory of the signals.
I want
He-
that guy on my side doing
yeah.
research.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad he's behind me.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that answer.
Thank you.
Why don't our lights talk to each other now?
Too old.
Oh, boy.
Heard an OG, but
The different
For
systems.
the record, David Soares.
He was waiting for that question.
Resident of Flagship
I
Drive.
wanted everyone an opportunity.
You're the signal guy?
I'm the district assistant traffic operations engineer for design and safety. Yes, I live on Flagship Drive. I'm intimately familiar with the area.
So you're the guy responsible for the lighting sequences on Route 6?
So fortunately, yes. Fortunately
And
for me,
you
that
live in
happened
town.
before I was
Okay,
here.
This is good to know.
You don't want to tell us where you live.
Oh, you already did.
Come on down, Flagship Drive. We're having
There
a
you
block
go.
party in a couple weeks.
All right.
We'd love to have you all.
I'm going to bring my own lights.
Perfect. Yes.
Between the old street lights, yeah.
I shouldn't say this, but I do have a few MassDOT cones in my garage.
That's how we'll know where you live.
Yes. The signals on Route 6 were coordinated at one time. What happened is we did the Fonts Corner Road project, and the coordination, the Route 6 was taken out of coordination, and Fonts Corner was put into coordination. And so that's really why we're seeing potentially worse operations now than maybe we remember from 10 years ago, is because the coordinated corridor was moved from Route 6 to Fonts Corner. So now from Fonts Corner at Route 6 all the way up to the interchange, that's all coordinated. I am not too familiar with the design and the analysis that was done as part of that project, but that's what was built for that project. I think what we're seeing now is that it's much more important to have that coordination on Route 6. The signals are spaced much closer together. We have some turning movements that are really critical, whereas Fonts Corner is really just a commuter in and out North and South Road. And so I think we can accommodate maybe a little bit a worse operation there, just because we have a lot more space. And because the travel is more directional, and we really need to put these three intersections back into coordination.
Is it overstating the case that someone asked that in this whole project, light coordination is the most important improvement and will make the most amount of difference, or is that overstated?
I don't think it's overstated. I don't know that Hathaway is quite as critical, but certainly the short block that we have between the Fonts Corner southbound left and then the Tucker Road intersection, that is critical.
The thing more important on Hathaway is it's the danger in that place with the speed.
Yes.
That's the issue there, not so much the backup.
Yes,
The danger is incredible.
The progression east and west through all three signals is less important. Okay. Making sure that when you take the southbound left from Fonts Corner, making sure that there's space available for you on Route 6, that is critical. So we don't stack up into the intersection, and sort of vice versa, the northbound coming off of Tucker onto Route 6. Those are the two critical movements. And I don't want to open a can of worms, but I did just want to say that with the Tucker Road relocation, you would see some improvements on Tucker Road itself. Whether that's enough to delay this project, I don't think it is. I think that we will see some immediate benefits on Route 6, on Tucker, on Fonts Corner Road.
What concern should we have that the police station is in the middle of all that and it's going to remain? Is that important in terms of the consideration of the whole project?
So I don't. Do we have preemption right now at the intersection?
The new police station, its location.
Yeah.
No.
So that was
100 yards
one of the key.
off into Tucker.
No, yeah, it's there now, and it's on Tucker Road.
That's it right there.
Right. It's 100 yards off of Route 6.
I mean, as long as you still can take a left on from Tucker Road, towards the mall, there should be no no problem. One of the part of the problems right now is that, the town has the Opticon system where, emergency services can stop the lights. However, I've been told that they don't use Opticon in this area, in Tucker or on Fons Corner Road, because it screws up the light sequences.
We shut it off.
We shut it off because it screws up the light system.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a system that we paid for, we can't use in this particular area because it screws up the traffic flow.
Right.
Especially if there's an emergency. Now, if it can go back to that, where they can control the lights, and then it goes back to where it's supposed to be,
Well,
it would be fine.
The Opticon is working up in Slocum Road.
It's working everywhere except where it really kind of needs it the most.
So the Opticon is line of sight. So one of the issues could also be that the driveway for the police station is far enough back that maybe their emitters can't quite get to the receiver if it's queued all the way back on Tucker.
No, well, right
But
now
we
they don't use it because
use it at all?
it messes up the timings. To be honest, I mean,
The cars,
I mean, we
the
all-
police cars have the ability
we
to
all
change.
drive.
Right,
we all
but the
drive
emitter
Route
wouldn't
6.
work if it couldn't see it's line of sight. So if there were trees or a bend in the road.
Yeah, but you have to go through 4 sets of lights for it to reset.
Right.
Yes, it has to catch up.
Right.
And we've also had some of our technicians out there. We have corrected some, so it's older equipment.
It's not working now.
We've
We shut
corrected
it
some
off.
issues with the time clocks and
See,
things like that.
So,
But
if there's a long line of cars in a queue on Tucker Road going south, and the police car has to get out of there quick and go left, we don't have the Opticon working.
Right.
So they gotta go left against possible traffic coming right at them. Is there something we can do in this whole design? I don't know how you're gonna do it, but to help out, because it looks like that may be a permanent issue until we ever do a Tucker Road extension to help the police out.
Yeah, what happens now is the signals aren't coordinated so that when they do use the Opticom, it's only doing that one intersection. Whereas in the future, when all 3 of those signals are talking to each other, it'll put in the Opticom and disperse it to all 3 signals. Whereas today it gets screwed up because it only does that one intersection,
Right.
and Fonts is still pumping people through there.
So it sounds like the egress is going to be the police would take a left and go on the southbound lane with traffic, not to get out of that off Tucker Road to Route 6. That's going to be the regular.
yeah, so at the very least, the queuing will be better than what's there now.
I mean, for the most part, I would say 98% of the time, once they're going sirens, lights on, people have a good reaction. Just like anything else, you have that 1 or 2%, of meatheads that just don't know what they're doing when they're behind a wheel, And to be honest with you, that increases to about 10 to 15% when it comes time to blocking up the traffic on Old Westport Road and Route 6. As somebody we all drive Route 6, there's no ifs or buts about it.
You can't.
But as somebody who drives every day, 4 times a week, I know every single bump, every single pothole on Route 6 from Reed Road to Slocum Road.
Every coffee shop.
No, not really, only one. I'm very hesitant about the plan because I've been sold on Tucker Road. I see the heat map, the difference, slight difference, nothing too much. So I'm willing to go with this, and I'm not from the Midwest, but I'm going to be from Missouri, and you're going to have to show me. Okay? Plain and simple. You're going to have to show me that this works, because I also have, while I have a captive audience from DOT here, I'll take it just a little quick aside. There's a lot of frost heaves from Reed Road to Fons Corner Road that need to be addressed. And I like to see you guys address it, because I'm getting complaints from people that every time they drive, I hear ka-tunk, ka-tunk.
It's on my list to talk
Airborne.
about later on. Right
So-
there, 3 pages full.
Yeah, so if we can address the frost heaves at some point in time, because eventually they're working on, Eversource has decided to dig on Route 6. We're gonna have a nice paved area going from Hathaway Road all the way up to Slocum Road. That's nice. Let's deal
So
with
if
the other
you
side
take-
of Route 6,
if you
please,
take-
because there's a lot of frost heaves that need to be addressed. And I know the major one in front of the dealership, the Honda
from
dealership,
Reed
will be
Road
taken
to
care
Fons
of
Corner Road?
because
It is
they're gonna be
a
working
total
there,
mess.
but that one
Bumps
is
and ruts.
absolutely abysmal.
You-
And there are
you
people
have
that
to-
actually,
literally, I
who
go
drive on this
around-
on a regular basis,
you know
that
where
avoid that
the-
frost
now
heave.
from around here, there's a
They pull into the
Chevrolet
left-hand
dealership.
lane.
There's a
It causes
bump
all sorts
this-
of
this
problems with other cars coming in, so, yeah, somebody seriously
Well, it's
needs
the
to
whole road,
address
from Reed Road all the way to Tucker. I mean, to Fons Corner.
the
I'll
road
write it down for you.
itself.
No, because I have other
You know,
things.
and
I'll write it.
the other thing that I,
Okay,
wait a
go
minute,
ahead. No, go ahead.
Route 6 has always been a bone of contention for
I got a
me,
couple of questions
all
on
the
the
way
project-
down. I know you
project
do,
itself.
but let me just, I'm on a roll.
No, okay, well, you're on, I like
So-
to be on the
so the-
project itself. Okay.
It's on the roof. The other thing, and I will say this, last few years, I've always been bitching about the landscaping on Route 6, particularly on the golf side. I know you guys have hired a vendor to take care of that, Northeast Tree Service, and they do a great job, and I want to thank you for that. However, the median along Route 6, starting at Hathaway Road, all the way up through the mall, cigarette butts, I know it's not your fault, grass, it looks crappy, okay? Fons Corner Road, Route 6, Reed Road, these are the ways into our town. And I'll be honest with you, even though we have no control over Route 6, I feel like going out there myself with a weed whacker and whacking the hell out of those weeds along the guardrails. That needs to be taken care of. And it's just, it doesn't look good, and it's not a good look for Mass DOT.
It's like no one listens to us, it seems.
Well, at some point in time, they,
So would
But
it,
there's that one bump, because I was going to talk about this later, but there's the bump that Sean's talking about is next to, is parallel to the Chevrolet dealership.
I don't mind talking.
And
side
if you're driving 20 miles an hour and you hit that bump, you'll crack your teeth. It's
I'm not bringing it
horrible.
up.
Besides all the ruts and the bumps, but that is, it's got to be 3 or 4 inches high. I go around it, so I don't have to go through
he's
it.
one of the guys I got to avoid. I don't mind going over it. I got a truck.
I don't want to go over it.
Okay,
Ruin my car.
all right, the points are made on that one. Question, on the project itself. So, going back to the police station, we can count on a coordinated effort to do the best we can to satisfy the chief that whatever we're gonna do over there with lines of choosing traffic, that we'll do the best we can to coordinate the lights and our, what do you call the system? Opticon system, so it works best for the chief.
Yeah.
It sounds like if we go ahead, he's gonna live with that for quite a while.
Well, it'll be improved with Bob's design,
Okay,
because the 3 signals will work together.
I get it.
So will we have, you have,
Whatever you can do to
your
coordinate
address?
with the chief before it's done, I think is important.
Smithfield.
Because it's been there only a couple of years, the station, so.
and this is a 2-year project, is that what it is?
I think, construction-wise, we're probably talking 2.5 or 3, right? From soup to nuts, everything. We've got to move the utilities out of the way, we've got to, that's usually a full year's effort.
That was my question, was the timeline of the project.
I think 3 years is probably a more realistic prediction, whereas the first year is probably eaten up with utility relocations, moving poles and things out of the way for the road work to take place. And then the final year is probably landscaping, and we come back in the spring and loam and seed and leave everything just so.
Like Fons Corner Road all over again. Basically like Fons Corner Road all over again.
And you did a hell of a job on Fons Corner Road. I'll give you that.
My impression about all this is that we have an impossible situation, and you're trying to do the best you can. And a guy like Sean, who travels it more than all of us, more than any resident in town on a regular basis, understands the frustrations there.
Yes.
But I think it sounds like you've taken that into consideration, but you also haven't negated the fact that if Tucker Road becomes an issue, you're going to let that door be open. Because the design you're doing will coordinate with that effort no matter what, if and when we do that project.
Right. So there's no perfect solution where all our problems melt away. Bob has optimized the solution that balances the improvements so everybody experiences benefits.
And all the comments that you got from the last, the public presentation, are you satisfied that you've addressed those in a way that you've still come up with this plan?
I think we have. Bob has done a lot of preparation and we've given you the files that Bob has gone through tonight and shown.
Okay.
The other thing that we haven't really addressed, we've been talking a lot about operation, but there's some big safety improvements with this design too, which are very important.
We're all about safety,
Yeah,
for sure.
Tucker Road is, Hathaway Road's the one scary place.
Yeah.
That is. Okay. Anything else on the project itself? From anybody?
No, now we have people to look at, we know who they look like, and more importantly, we know where they live.
Yeah.
We got a neighbor now, too.
What do we need to do for us?
Well, if we say this is a 2 to 3 year project,
Hi there, neighbor.
when are we looking at it beginning? Come on back.
Don't lose you.
So we're targeting December 7th, 2024 to advertise this for bid, which means we'll have a contractor in place for the spring construction season to begin. There's no summer prohibition to work, is there, here in Dartmouth? So we can work right around till the weather tells us we need to stop. And I think it'll probably be 3 cycles like that.
Is there anything that we can do as a town, or you as DOT, in the meantime, to help the situation, and some small Band-Aid of some kind?
Well, you've done a lot tonight by pointing out some real flaws with our maintenance out there right now. We will do our best to address those.
Thank you.
And we've got a great design team, and there's no better district than District 5. The people there are reviewing the consultants' work, and we're going to hit that ad date, and we'll fix the culvert across Route 6 between Fonts Corner and Tucker. I think there's...
That's what I'm asking, yeah.
Yeah, so December 2024.
Great.
Yeah.
You guys took a lot of heat, and I appreciate you sticking with us, and I know it's part of the process, but it's the way it goes, and we do appreciate it, and thanks for coming to see us tonight.
Thanks.
Well, I can tell you this, it's not personal, that's for sure. You know, I mean, it's something that we have, it's business, man, because, I mean, but it's also a way of life for some of us around here. We drive through this mess. We see the meatheads. We see the people that just, how they got a license, I have no idea. We see and hear, and also they come to us about the frustration there. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we could put a cop out there, every day, and we can make probably the police budget in the course of a year by ticketing people there, But our guys have better things to do than to stay there and tell people, hey, it's a $100 fine if you come this way, if you do this, and they end up being the bad guys, and that's something that we don't, Hey, if it needs to be done, it needs to be done, but it doesn't. It's just something that we don't really need to do.
So take good care of our 2 Dartmouth residents, will you? Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Pull the cups off.
Sean, get the wood whacker out. You're on the median.
Well, the weed whacker with the metal
Steel.
the metal beat will take care of all that. That's for
Okay,
sure.
thank you. We're ready to move on. Okay, great. Marijuana Social Equity Policy Review. Mr. McGinnis.
Chris Vitale, our Assistant Town Administrator, is
Okay.
here to update the board.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
So this past year, the state passed some laws that made some reform to the cannabis regulations. And so over the past several months, the Cannabis Control Commission has been working on different policies to basically implement those laws that they've passed. So in your packet, you have a memo that was put out by the Cannabis Control Commission at the end of this past month with regards to communities and their social equity policies around cannabis. And so also included in your packet is a draft policy that we have put together that makes us in compliance with the updated regulations that the state put out. So as part of this memo, they cited a couple of different communities that had policies that met the new state guidelines. And so we took one of those communities and worked off of that. So hopefully that can be passed here tonight.
And I'll just add, so this, the new social equity policy just has some stipulations to help for social equity applicants. We're at the point now here in Dartmouth where the board has issued its 3 host community agreements that are allowed. So this would be for future host community agreements if the 3 that we have existing were to either expire or terminate or things were to change.
So are there any significant changes from what we've done in the past to this new policy?
So the biggest change would be, and just doing my research on what we've done for the previous retail licenses, is we put out requests for qualifications. With this new policy, we would have an exclusive window for social equity applicants. So the definition of that is outlined in the policy, but essentially it's applicants that have been certified as eligible for the Cannabis Control Commission's social equity program. So they have 2 different programs. One's a legacy program, one is a current program. So with that, it would be a 6-month, essentially, grace period where we would market to those applicants specifically. After that, we'd go through our normal procurement process if we didn't get any respondents. The other things that it does is, really on us to market it more. One, through the Cannabis Control Commission, through our website, our social media platforms, just to get the word out there to try and get respondents back. The other thing that it does is it looks at, different options where we might be able to reduce financial barriers, whether that's, permit fees to go through the special permit process. It's to look at those and see if there's any savings that we can offer to those applicants. But those are all outlined on the 2nd page of the draft policy as well.
That's number 5.
Yes.
To reduce financial barriers.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? We do need to vote.
Make a motion that we approve the policy as presented.
Cannabis Control Commission policy, yes, I'll second it.
Any other further discussion, comments, or questions? We ready to vote? Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Gracie?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 5-0. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a point of information, we also have 2 projects that are kind of pending, and we are making requests to get those people in to give us an update as to when we'll do sometime next month.
Correct.
Right. Okay. I have family that are involved in the New York State programs, and the New York State in liquor stores, you cannot own more than 1 liquor store. There are no chain liquor stores in the entire state, and they're trying to model the marijuana industry the same way, single store ownership. And they have not, there's 4 stores open in the entire state. They're going very slowly, and they really are quite sure how to handle it and do it. And of course, it's a giant state with lots of people. And they're trying to mimic the liquor program, which is single store operation. So,
Interesting.
yep. Okay. Done for now. Next, town administrator update. Mr. McGinnis.
Yes, not a lot of updates since last week, but we had the internal safety committee meeting today. As you may recall, we have an internal safety committee, which consists of representatives of my office, the police department, safety officer, health, building, the fire departments, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple others, but it's a nice internal group looking at ways to maintain safety in the community, whether it's through preparing for storms, hurricane preparedness, but also the town has an emergency management plan that is dated, and we are discussing today is working on updating that emergency management plan in light of COVID that's happened and many other things. So we'll be working on that as we move forward, and we're committed to meeting quarterly again. So we had met prior to COVID. COVID kind of threw those things into flux, but now we're back meeting. So it's productive meetings, and it's a good group. We've updated the boards and committees page on the website and added a video by Chairman Tattlebaum, urging people to join a board or committee. We've also added a message on the town hall sign, urging people to get involved and join a board or committee. So, and then also on the homepage of the website, there's information on soliciting people to volunteer. So, any information, they can contact my office. Some good news, we were informed that we were awarded 2 Seaport Economic Council grants that we had submitted recently, one for the feasibility study at Dias Landing and Upon-Agansett Landing for future development, if any, and others also for the Rogers Street boat ramp design and permitting. So we'll be awarded those grants next week on the 27th in Chatham, so that's very exciting. Those grants total over $300,000 together, so that's
Nice.
a great program, the Seaport Economic Council. And then last, I met with Ian Trombley last week. He's the government liaison representative from South Coast Health. And they're looking at ways to just partner and open communication with the towns. So that was a very productive meeting and looking at ways that they face many of the same issues we have with homelessness, with opioid use, and also with recruitment and retainment. So we had a nice meeting. They're committed to Dartmouth. They actually have 8 locations in Dartmouth. 732 employees live in Dartmouth that work at South Coast. And 532 employees work in Dartmouth. So we're looking to get involved on both the Dartmouth Community Services Outreach Team and as well as the new DART committee that's been
Similar
organized. So
situation
they
with
wanna-
with the university as well, huh?
Correct. Yeah, so it's nice to do some regional initiatives, so we don't have to recreate the wheel, but also get a new outside input. That's what I like.
As far as that the safety committee, Mr. Mickelson and I had a conversation recently regarding, with the FEMA and notification of what do people do if disaster strikes? Is that going to kind of
That's in the emergency management plan, yes.
Especially of the seniors.
Right.
There are lots of them I've talked with that, especially if they have visiting nurses or something like that. And the nurses ask them that question, and they want them to be comfortable with their answer. So that's why I brought it up to Dave.
That's
I
a good
think
question.
It's quite important.
And also part of the discussion we have is, the climate change is causing more extreme weather.
sure.
So
Yeah.
we don't,
Yeah.
we get really.
As we know, huh?
Significant storms, yes. So, and how to deal with that on a regular basis is something we're
Yeah,
trying to
it's
do.
really,
address that issue we're
yeah,
talking
it's
about.
really
Great.
important for the seniors,
Yep.
as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Not that I'm not a senior.
No, you were looking for the
No,
outside.
no.
Inside in.
The-
Okay.
Those
You're
senior.
senior to the senior.
Comments from members?
Yeah, I got a couple. So tomorrow's Tuesday, it's my day off, and I'm going to be up and down Route 6 Route 6, pulling some, guess what?
Signs.
Signs. Please help us out. No signs on our property. I will pull them out if they're on our property. I won't go on private property. But I'll spend 2 or 3 hours tomorrow morning.
So you're looking for utility poles?
If I can pull them out, they have a new thing now. They get this, they use some type of a gun that it puts a bolt into the.
Oh, wow.
But they do it in some of the trees, especially on Fons Corner. But most of them do it on utility poles. And their bolts are about 1.5 inches thick. And you can't pull it out. So
Bolts
they
will stay
get
about the same
smarter.
amount, yeah.
Scoundrels, that's what
Well,
I call
thank
them.
you for that. I know we
Scoundrels.
have a number of folks, residents that have had huge concerns about that.
Exactly.
so
We
thank
need
you.
to pay attention to it. And shame on these businesses that do that. And speaking of Route 6,
Yes.
we have a 40B project going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's been going on almost 5 years now. It's still, nothing's getting done. I see the trucks are out there, you got piles of dirt, but nothing's going on. I don't know, there's social media with obviously stupid comments and, it's all fake news, but if it's too good to be true, make sure you know it's too good to be true. So 75% of the 40B units will go to Dartmouth residents if they qualify. That's a big deal.
Yes.
The town's gonna, every year that we postpone this project, we're losing property taxes, excise taxes. People that live in these buildings will spend money at restaurants, buy gasoline, buy coffee. The project's not moving fast enough for me. 5 years. We need to have all the major players that are involved in this project in the building. We need to talk about why the project is stalled all the time. Every day there's another problem. We need to move quickly. 5 years it's an embarrassment. That's all I have.
Is the town in the way of getting this project done?
Depends on who you talk to.
What's a concrete proposal? Try to get some answers to this.
Yeah, let's get some let's try to find some common ground and make everybody aware of what their responsibilities are.
I can understand that, and as somebody who has developed, been involved in developing property, yeah, you have to come up and meet with what's being requested, and if it's not being submitted on a timely basis, or if it's not being submitted at all, or correctly, then there will be a delay. So I'm not sure what the situation is, but I am probably going to say that 75% of the blame is not going to be put on the town. It's going to be put on the developer and or the developer's people. Maybe the town will take some blame in this, but I'm almost willing to say that it's not going to be the town, that it's mostly coming from the developer. So
Let's find that out.
Mr. McGinnis, comment on it? What we gonna do?
Well, this has been going on for a number of years. We have an internal team that works with the developer and their representatives. So we started this, I think, last year, as prompted by the select board here, and it's been productive. There's a lot of requirements that go beyond just the town. So there's a state requirement, or that we can't control. We can only advise and direct what needs to be done in order to move the process forward. So sometimes there's a state process that's required before it can come to the town for a review. So we try to work very closely with them. I know sometimes, government has processes and bureaucracy, so we understand that, and we try to eliminate ours as much as we can on our end, but we can't control things at the state level. So we do work closely with them. We communicate with them. Like I said, we have an internal team that meets. We are committed to moving this project forward. You've heard us mention before there is a extreme need for housing in the community, and we're trying to foster that and promote that and do whatever we can to support developers proposing new housing, because it takes a long time to develop. So they can contact me directly. I'm happy to have another meeting altogether, but I can tell you the internal staff is committed to moving this project forward.
Can you ask Mike Corville you still our web guy, right? Can you ask him to review all the boards and their makeup, and make sure that we have the correct people?
We do that through the clerk's office. We have a database, but I can ask them.
Yeah, if you could have them just review that, make sure that we have the correct people on each committee, and that.
Staff and boards?
Staff and board members mostly. Mm-hmm. But what I'm also asking, is I'm asking that everybody, or at least the chair and the vice chair of each committee, have a town email address, so that if there's a concern, the residents can directly send them an email. Because I'm looking, because I was looking at a lot of the committees, and there's no way to contact the committee except through staff. As every elected official in town should have a link to an email address that anybody can click on. Board members appointed by this committee Committee or board members appointed by this should have, at least the chair of the committee should have an email address so that citizens can contact them directly.
It's possible that the entire board have the
If
same access to that email.
If they still have it, but at least that they should have it, so that, you know, there's some communication. You know, I think that's very important. You know, and it also sends a message to everybody that, you know, we don't work in a vacuum.
Mhm.
You know, the committee members don't work in a vacuum. The committee members, you know, they have the ability to be heard, even if it's just a complaint, you know, that, or a lead into something or other. So, but that's just. And the other thing is, last meeting we talked about setting up stuff to deal with the nitrogen loading problems, and also,
Right.
so I'd like to see that start getting into the works, because you know, we need to go after the state on composting.
Well, that was going to be my comment. We can discuss it now if you like. But
That water quality committee.
Right, and I think that Sean and I spoke after the last meeting, and I was going to bring it up myself, that we getting the staff from town and the pertinent boards like DPW into this room, or maybe a public room, and to set those priorities, and which I think composting will be number one on the list, but that's to be said done. I think we talked about doing it in August. It may be difficult to do because August is tough.
I mean, I understand, but we got to get the ball rolling at least.
Agreed. Do we want to try to do it in?
I mean, if we can get at least a committee charge for the next meeting.
Well, the board approved the water quality committee
Okay.
charge.
All right, so there
And
we go.
we've had some letters of interest that have been submitted, so but it's just.
I think that the committee that Dave's talking about can work under that committee charge.
Yeah,
We just
right.
have to get it together.
Yep. Because I want to be the community that's out front of this.
Yep.
That resolves it for their residents. Absolutely.
Yep. I don't want to be reactionary to anything DEP does. I want them to react to what we propose.
Agreed.
And
So-
see how well they're going to work with us.
So, we're gonna send out, what are you suggesting, Sean? So we can get this ball rolling and also try to put together a public meeting?
Yeah, so I had, after our conversation,
Yep.
tentatively scheduled to have the water quality, the board review letters of interest in August.
Okay.
And then once the board approves the public members, then to formally have the committee meet in front of the board to talk about priorities and initiatives that the board wants to see.
Okay.
And lastly, I just want to give a shout out to the Dartmouth Girls Athletic League. They had their summer blast over the weekend. They had quite a number of teams from everywhere: Charlton, Mass, Tewksbury, New Hampshire, Dartmouth's own, New Bedford, Fairhaven. There was approximately maybe I think 5, maybe 6 games Friday night, 25 games Saturday.
Wow.
And then a number of games to make the ultimate champion of each tournament. But it was well done. I want to thank the staff at DGAL, the coaches, especially the players, for, number one, dealing with the heat, dealing with the rain over the night, and they made a terrific job. And special thanks to the parents, because just like with any organization, it doesn't run without parents.
Yep.
That's for sure.
As a parent, those were my favorite days, my favorite memories.
I
I'd
miss
give
them.
anything to go back
miss them.
to them.
Well, to be honest with you, yes, they were great, but those tournament days, those were just absolutely miserable.
Take them in a heartbeat.
I
Mrs.
remember
Brooks,
that.
Anything, Ken?
I just have a couple of things. One is I just wanted to say what a great job Wednesday night concerts are. Again, thousands of people. I know that our folks are out there directing traffic and getting people to park and come in. Kids are free. Adults are $5 a person. It's a great night. The bucket is open, so you can get your dinner there. They have a special concert night menu, which makes it a little bit easier on the staff, and ice cream with the new point of sale system that they have. Orders are taken and easily created and distributed, so it's really a
Sounded like a genuine infomercial, Mrs.
It is a great, I tell you, it's a great night out. Dinner and a show. So I'm just promoting it. Fingers crossed that Wednesday nights have some good weather.
Right.
If not, it's pushed to Thursday, but it's a great night. And if people haven't been, I highly encourage them to take a look at the schedule. And last week with the Onos, which was because of Beatle tribute, and that they played a range of great music that I knew all the words to. And then I was just going to ask about the status of the customer service survey.
Oh, yes. So Chris has been working on that. He sent it, he actually emailed me this afternoon with it, something to view.
awesome.
So we'll send it on to you to review before final review.
Great.
So I haven't had it. He could have, sorry, I didn't know. He could have given me an update.
all
He just left.
That's all right.
So that will be
Great.
going out this
Good
week.
to know.
Yes.
Good to know, rather. All right.
Okay, Ms. Brooks. Mr. Gracie, anything?
No.
Okay, I'd just like to just repeat, because my comments are going to be that meeting with Sean, and I will continue to do that to make sure we stay on this DEP issue in the water quality and setting those priorities. And I think I'll also add that issue to put together a group regarding the 40B project and get people in the same room to get some answers from and keep it going.
With that, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn and enjoy the rest of International Ice Cream Day.
Today?
Ooh, yes.
No kidding. So
Yum.
you going to participate?
Hell yeah.
Okay, I need a second on what flavor is it going to be? What flavor, Mr.?
Second, anything chocolate.
Not me, I can't have ice cream. Gotta watch my girlish figure.
Oh,
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Let's vote. Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
yes.
Mr. Gracie?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Happy
International Ice Cream Day.
International Ice Cream Day. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.